Does this image, Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps in couples therapy with a quokka, make anything in your brain tick alarm bells? Well, if the answer was yes, then you should probably go outside and take a walk, but listen to this video while you do it so I still get ad rev. Hey again, fellas, and welcome back to With a Y. Not too long ago, Zootopia 2 got the first teaser trailer for it revealed at some Disney official event. You think I'm gonna look up the name of it? And like any major franchise that hasn't had a recent entry in it, the people who are fans of that franchise tend to go a little insane. But for Zootopia specifically, there is a seminal work that has created an in-joke, or some might even say what is basically a sword of Damocles hanging over the movie's head. The question of why they're in what appears to be couples therapy specifically made some people worried. These two were not romantically involved with each other in the first movie. The reason everybody is concerned about that is specifically because of this fan comic of Zootopia called I Will Survive by Borba. If you don't know, I Will Survive is an infamous Zootopia comic about Judy Hopps getting pregnant and wanting an abortion. I hope the title didn't give that away. And it's had such staying power and made its way into so many different places, it is almost impossible for somebody on the production team of Zootopia 2 not to have read this comic. I would be willing to bet that it's actually a large contingent of them. People are scared that if these two are a couple in the movie, we are going to be seeing an adaptation of the comic source material. I think by including this in the sneak peek trailer and it getting out to the wider world, somebody who was working on this movie, probably in marketing, knew the type of typhoon that this might stir up and left it there so that speculation was more likely to be flying. And you know, maybe I'm just being too cynical. Like, the medium of animation has really pushed the limits in recent years, what with Spider-Verse, and especially Garfield Puss in Boots' realistic depiction of a panic attack. If that can get in an animated movie, who's to say that a realistic depiction of abortion trauma won't? And you know, I already know these videos get views, but it has been years since I looked through these. It opens pretty solemnly by Judy Hopps putting down a pregnancy test that in the next frames we can see are very, very positive. Come on, let's go, sweet cheese! Now, a big complaint people have had about this comic individually, if not the trilogy as a whole, is the way that the author characterized Nick Wilde throughout. Like, in wanting this to be an unironic, serious take on this kind of drama in the Zootopia universe, I would say not only is Nick wildly, lol, out of character, I would say Judy has hopped right out of her character as well. And something this big getting as famous as it did has downstream effects on the perception of those characters for anybody that has seen this piece of media. It certainly doesn't have the same reach as the movie, but I'm in enough places where somebody knows what you're talking about when you say Zootopia abortion comic that it's a real problem for me. First off, Nick is a slob. He's sleeping in late. Nick, come on, wake up! It is their day off, so they should be able to chill, but as we know, Judy has a really important message for Nick. Just text me, please, but it's not something that she can text. She gets a little freaky and just sticks her thumbs on the edges of his mouth to force him to do a little Joker smile. She seems very comfortable risking cutting her fingers off by getting close to those teeth, so I imagine they do this regularly, and in universe, Judy's into this shit. This is more of a thing you'll see in comics as a medium, but no matter the angle, the author never fails to pose Judy in a way where you can, like, see the fact she has a very proportionally big ass. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna recite the exact math someone actually did to find out how big Judy Hopps' ass is. Just felt worth pointing out. So Nick's like, alright, I'll get up, but I do want to get some stuff first, and I respect that. He wants to have his mind fully on the subject if it's this important. Judy can at least see the logic in that. He's singing in the shower, being just too damn happy for my tastes. I don't like seeing people in real life attain happiness. Levels of joy that are humanly possible because they exist in real life. I hate fictional characters who live good lives even more. Well, what is this important thing you want me to know? This is something I will credit Borba with. They do keep that real go-getter attitude Judy Hopps has and carry it over into a situation we really haven't seen her character experience. She stutters once and then it's out with it. This panel of Nick is very famous. Ha! Nice try, Fluff. You almost got me. As if it were even possible. And you know, upon reread, this is actually a little story beat that kind of gets left unresolved. Like, as far as the characters are aware up to this point, it is completely impossible for crossbreeding species of like a fox and a rabbit to happen. A false negative is much more likely than Judy Hopps actually being pregnant. If they had taken the time to make sure that it was for sure before having this conversation, then a lot of what follows might have never happened, and at the very least, it would give Judy and Nick more times to come to terms with what exactly it is they're dealing with. Here's a little show don't tell where Judy Hopps' nose is twitching. Your nose is twitching, so it means carrots. Are you sure? Is it for real? Yes. it is. I just took a pregnancy test and didn't double check despite how unlikely it is for something like this to happen. Now, this is the happiest you're gonna see any of these characters throughout this entire series. There are peaks and valleys, but in this comic specifically, the mood falls right off a cliff after this panel. Judy, oh Judy, this is the happiest day of my life. And as you can see, Judy has ass almost as big as mine. It's very impressive. And Nick is over here crying literal tears of joy. They're turning into hearts like Conquest did when he blew a bubble with his blood. In keeping with the Conquest metaphor, it's fitting that he broke that heart immediately after. I love you, Judy. I love you so much. You've made me the happiest mammal on Earth. Nick just is so overcome with happiness, he can't help but smother Judy, and when there is clearly more of a conversation to be had here, like, she was clearly trepidatious about it, man. You were aware of that going in, so this feels like a kind of emotionally neglectful way to handle the whole situation. Also, Judy Hop's ass shot without fail. Nick, please stop, stop! And to his credit, he stops as soon as he thinks he might have hurt Judy. I'm sorry, I didn't hurt you, did I? No, you didn't, but this isn't the problem. Problem? You mean because we're from different species, you think our baby might have some problem? I don't understand. Nick, please, don't make things worse for us. Judy, what are you talking about? I don't want this child. And here's that furry reaction image I firmly believe started the Iraq War. The amount of remixes you could possibly make with an expression that goddamn good is damn near limitless, and it speaks to Borba's undeniable talent as an artist. Like, all of their posing is really dynamic. The backgrounds are really fleshed out with little details and knickknacks lying around that give context as to the life these two have been living together. And the faces they draw are very animated, but it's the age-old tell that an artist can use their talents for anything. All this skill put into what has to be a passion project, but that gained popularity and a tone that they never intended behind that. No, I can't believe you said that. I really am getting more from this now that I'm older and rereading it. This might sound stupid to be a thing that you learn more about every time you look at it again. It's like, no, I can't believe you said that. Judy approached Nick, telling him up front that she had a heavy topic that she couldn't do over text, that she really did not want to wait on because of how serious it is. And when she delivers the news, Nick is overjoyed, sure, but the expression of that joy comes at the expense of the consideration he might have had for Judy's feelings. She probably would have delivered the news that she didn't want a child less dramatically if she was given a better opportunity to discuss with him. And right after that, she immediately gets shut down. He's not like wiling out or anything, but he does like put a rough grip on Judy. Please tell me I heard wrong. Why, Judy? Why? Let me explain, Nick. So explain yourself. And I'm gonna be honest, I just don't think that Nick has created the right context to have like a productive conversation. Why don't you want our baby is phrasing that preempts the issue. It sets a tone before Judy can flesh it out. There's no baby yet. I'm just in my first month of pregnancy. I agree. If that little shit's only spent 1 month in the uterus leeching off the mom, I say it's fair game for hunting season. And you decided on your own that this is gonna be the last month, ain't you? Again, really presumptuous about what it is she wanted to say in this conversation, which she hasn't gotten to say much of because you keep interrupting with stuff like this. I do appreciate that Judy tries to bring this to center, like, Nick, let's talk about it like adults, right? And to Nick's credit, I understand the passion he would feel that reaction with, and he's still able to reel it in to try and bring this closer to center on the topic this was supposed to be about. Okay, tell your tale, he says. Well, at first, I didn't think you could get me pregnant. And this is where the issue really started. They're both stupid because they were fucking without condoms or birth control. This is where the in-lore explanation comes of why it's dangerous. I do know there are some cases of interbreeding, but they're extremely rare, and none of them involved a couple formed by a predator and a prey. It's like Pokemon egg groups. Like, yes, there's some breeding that can be done, but what comes out is usually the same Pokemon as the mother, with like a vanity move that they got from their dad. Back to Judy, she says, I foolishly believed we didn't have to take any precautions, and I hope that lesson gets through to y'all watching this video. But how wrong I was. I still don't understand why you... Because I'm afraid. Afraid of what, Nick asks, and this is how Judy describes it, which did not really help my argument that Nick needs to give her the space to communicate when this is what she says. In part, I fear our child might be, you know, some kind of freak. Like, yeah, the dude might come out looking a little ugly, but is that really the one you want to lead with when talking to the would-be father about if they should keep it or not? You really think so? Why not? It isn't impossible. Moreover, a baby of yours might be a little too big for me. Nick says you don't know for sure, which Judy has a really good counter. Nobody knows, and it scares me. They probably wouldn't be able to know without really expensive medical procedures that wouldn't give them 100% guarantee that something wouldn't go wrong. And the only frugal way to get an answer for for that is finding out by fucking around. Just waiting until the actual moment of the birth to see if your offspring splits your significant other in half. Not a great method. What you're saying is, hey Nick, even if you can get me pregnant, I don't want to have any children with you? Did I hit the mark, Judy? That's a fucking leap if anything. With the information Nick has right now, at least from this conversation in a vacuum, there's no reason to presume Judy wouldn't be open to the idea of adoption. If you can do crossbreed shit, I'm sure IVF exists in this universe. But he did kind of pull off a soul read, so you gotta give him credit on this. Nick, I should have had this talk with you earlier, and I'm really sorry for not doing so. You especially should have done that when you were fucking without protection. You had no idea how hard it is for me to have to tell you these things, but I must say that there is another good reason. And looking at this again, I'm kind of giggling at how unimpressed Nick looks in this panel. The most effective half-lidded grimace I've seen in a while. That reason is my career! Okay, Judy has a really big write-up, basically a few paragraphs that were assigned to her as homework about her reasoning for this thing, which is nice to know that she thought it out. But again, going in this direction just kind of has these two talking at each other and hitting the wall behind them, instead of actually getting to the heart of what each other's concerns are. What? Nick asks in surprise. You know I'm about to be promoted to lieutenant, and if I accept this risky pregnancy, my career will be halted for months, or years, or even forever in the worst case scenario. If I suffer any sequela— what the fuck is sequela? A condition which is the consequence of a previous disease or industry. Hey, I learned a new word from the Zootopia abortion comic. One I didn't bother learning the first several times I read it. It's not only my life and my career that are in danger here, Nick. I became a symbol, an inspiration to those small mammals out there who also want to help make Zootopia a better place to live. The more I am successful in my career, the more they get confident in their own abilities. For this cause and to make this dream come true, I did my best and sacrificed many things, and I don't want to let these achievements slip through my fingers like sand. I do like genuinely feel and empathize with Judy's concerns here. I don't think anything she mentioned here is like bad reasoning for why she wouldn't want a kid at this stage in her life. In the same way that I think it's fair for Nick to disagree constructively. And her being like a symbol for all small mammals out there is a good point. It's like, by not having this kid now, how many kids in the future, maybe even predator-prey hybrids, are we making a better world for so that they don't have to deal with the same stigma that these two as a couple have had to? There's a lot of nuance here in the universe of Zootopia, if it were like chalked up to more of a PG-13 rating, has been convincingly fleshed out by Borba at this point. Now, I'll say, we're like halfway through the comic at this point, and this story, while implying a lot about the wider world, has taken place entirely inside of their apartment, which, especially compared to sequels, you can tell that Borba had written this thing with a much smaller narrative and scope in mind. I'm not even sure that sequels were ever in the cards until this thing did what it did. Anyways, in response, Nick says, "That's it. Your career. I should have known you were going to throw it in my face, but you surprised me, Judy. I thought I knew you, but I was wrong. You didn't have the right to say that to me. You know who I am. You know what I am. You know what's at stake for me since we first met, and you know full well that I did everything for my career." And here's the panel that, you know, I had to make the thumbnail, man. How could I not? Yes, I do know. It seems like you could even kill our baby for your career. Again, man, Borba gives Judy here like a crazy hourglass and childbearing hips that proportionally, unfortunately, would not be able to give birth to a fox-sized baby. Just without fail, they'd be on the ship. Actually, maybe the next panel was the thumbnail, the one where she physically abuses Nick. This is the part where, at the very least, in the context of the conversation, Judy crossed the line, in my opinion. Up till this point, even if without intending to, I feel like Nick has been pretty dismissive of whatever Judy's concerns during this thing might be, and a lot of the baggage and space that Judy had to make for herself to speak affected how Nick was going to take it and how constructive any dialogue about this could happen. Obviously, not good to hit your partner, I think that's bad, but Borba convincingly built this up as an emotional outburst and not something typically within Judy's character. Nick hits the floor. "Nick, forgive me, I lost my temper." It's at that point that Nick gets up and decides to leave altogether. And I mean, this dude made record time. He pulled out a backpack like he had that shit ready to go in case he ever needed to do the digital dash, is shoving clothes in there immediately as Judy begs with him to stay so that they can keep talking about it. She apologizes and pleads, "Please don't leave me this way. I need you more than ever. Trust me when I say I still love you." Nick stares down at a picture he has of his mother. and a single tear drops onto it. From his perspective, I imagine he feels like Judy is trying to cut a life short and thinks about what if that had happened to him before he got to live his. In fact, he goes on to explain this later on. Judy, what would have happened if your mother, while pregnant with you, had decided to interrupt her pregnancy? Nick, it's useless. I'll tell you what would have happened. If you hadn't been born, Judy, this world would be as bleak as ever. And without your light, I'd still be on the streets living a meaningless life. I do like that before he met Judy, they have changed his backstory to not just being a petty thief by necessity, but also a raging alcoholic. Like the type of chronic drinker that leaves cans on the side of the road. Still, the fact he credits Judy with bringing this much good to his life, the things she's doing uplifting him and other people around them, that kind of does play into her point as being a symbol for others. That's not true, Nick. I'm sure you would. Judy, listen. There are people who make a difference in the world, and you are one of them. Even being a little bunny, you stopped an absurdly nasty conspiracy and helped change the minds and hearts of millions. Like he's demonstrating a pretty clear emotional understanding of the severity of the situation. To me, things like these could never ever have happened without you. So for God's sake, Judy, give this unborn child the opportunity to do the same. I beg you, please let your light continue to shine through him or her. And for a moment, it almost feels like Judy's about to be moved by Nick's plea, but she's pretty resolute in her stance. As I said before, it's useless. I'm sorry, Nick, but I've made up my mind. My body, my rules. Nick asks one last time, is there any chance you might change your mind? She says, no, Nick. And he's equally as resolute in his position that neither will I. And as heartbreaking as this little interaction is, when you have a fundamental disagreement about something this serious and with these consequences, this is really the only way to handle it, by moving on from each other. Like, the truth is, Judy is right in her perspective. This is her body, and she's the one who's going to have to give birth to this child and take on all the physical risk that comes with that. The risk and side effects of pregnancy and giving birth is already incredibly high as is, and this is a unique situation with an even higher level of danger present, as well as just coming at a very poorly timed place in Judy's life. Nick taking her on good faith and at her word, knowing that this is something he believes that he can't be moved on. Him leaving does leave Judy to make the choice for herself and what she wants to do with the child, but whatever she does is going to be without him because he just doesn't approve. And I'm gonna give him credit. Where I think he fumbled the early bit of this conversation massively, I think he handled it with a decent amount of class, at least the most you can muster in a situation like this, towards the end. Dude just got hit and fell to the floor. Judy is pleading with him, and the first thing he does is try to explain why keeping the child means so much to him. And after getting hit, mind you, he asks multiple times, is there any way that we could make this work with you changing your mind? Being told no, he's like, all right, well, I guess that means I'm gonna go. Nick, don't go away. Please stay with me. Let's talk more about this. Do you want to talk? Well, there's something I'd like to know. Why didn't you keep it a secret from me? I mean, why didn't you just get rid of our child without me knowing anything? It wouldn't be the most honest thing to do. And in this closing act, I have to give Judy credit and put an asterisk next to any of the credit I was giving Nick a second ago. Judy really could have done that. Like, she could have just gone behind Nick's back, not have been honest with him about what she's going through. Also, another defined Judy Hopps ass shot in here. But I think it's also reasonable to assume that she'll be able to lean on her significant other in this time of strife. And Nick is not moved by her honesty. In fact, this is the part where he loses a lot of points in my head, and I think where the downward turn of his characterization in the sequel of this comic starts. It'd have been better for you, for us, if you had kept me in the dark about your premeditated sin. Goodbye, Judy. Like, he would have just preferred being lied to? I guess ignorance is bliss. Nick, where are you going? He leaves the keys so he won't be able to pick up anything he might have forgot to pack. Don't worry. I will survive, he says, the name of the comic. And I can't believe I'm commending this as actually artful, but he literally turns the other cheek, and it's the cheek with the scar of Judy hitting him. And this is the part where I realize I don't have, like, too much empathy. I just have, like, really stupid empathy. It's hard for me to, like, cry normally over, like, shit that's actually happening, but it's very easy for me to, like, feel the little tears welling up in my eyes during media. Like, I watched the Pokemon movie, saw a Charizard fly, and, like, I just had an involuntary little well-up of tears. Same happened during the Minecraft movie when I heard the C418 orchestral sting, even though I know I don't really like orchestral versions of ambient music. And Borba's facial expressions are really well made, so seeing Judy this sad and devastated, it fucked me up, even despite the ass shot that's still there. Nick! Oh no! Nothing lasts forever. Even an apparently everlasting love that has triumphed over the odds, and many challenges may eventually come to an end. And that is the end of the I Will Survive comic, the first in the trilogy of the Zootopia abortion saga. The direct sequel to this is Born to Be Alive, and perhaps we'll cover that another day. But overall, I think this comic is something I give a lot more credit upon reread. I don't know if it's like maybe just the years had made me look back on it with kinder eyes. The last time I gave it a start to finish read like this was during a Twitch stream, so my attention was likely split between chat and reading this in a way that I assume is entertaining to them, and that's what. And I will say, from the jump, it feels like the most internally consistent of the comics in the trilogy. I think that's in large part because it was originally meant to be standalone, but the next few comics in this series have some really big leaps in logic that make for great spectacle, but don't leave you with as compelling of character interactions. Let me know how well I did about waffling about a Zootopia abortion comic in the comments below. That kwytebox email's in the description if you want to send me any video topics. Anyways, have a good one. Piss off.